If there's one thing our generation is obsessed with, it's probably the art of locking in. It's just ingrained in our culture, really, eh? Just lock in, bro. 2026 is the year I lock in. I just gotta lock in, man. I mean, I know I'm joking about it, but it's actually a pretty great thing to be known for. There's pretty much no downsides to locking in, and the benefits can literally change your life forever. However, like everything, if it were that simple, everyone would have done it already, right? So what's the problem? The problem is, locking in will potentially make your life worse. And I don't say that to dissuade you or shock you, but this, for most people, is just objectively true. We're going to talk about why, try and explain some reasons behind it, and hopefully I can give you some advice so that when you get through it, you can come out the other side much stronger and productive. So what's up? Big old Jimbo here. We're on day 6 of the Spartan regime, I believe. That is no social media, no scrolling, no drugs, no gooning, morning routine, and daily exercise. So, let me explain. Part of locking in effectively stems from wanting to reinvent yourself, right? You're unhappy with the scenarios that surround your life and you want to change them. But you can't change your life without also changing yourself. Because if you do achieve a different outcome without changing yourself, you're going to find yourself back at the same habits, which will eventually lead you back to the same scenarios that you just escaped from. That's called a relapse. That very, very popular, happens to everyone. So where does that lead us? Well, we need to make changes to our identity. But unfortunately for us, the world effectively has a very high ping, right? It's lagging pretty far behind we are. It doesn't update as quick as we do. So we become somebody different mentally, but our lives can take weeks or even months to follow suit. So now we're someone who's more ambitious and more productive, but we're still bound to the same shackles of our old lives effectively. That realization is what usually burns most people out when they try to lock in, and again, is exactly why people relapse. So if it doesn't make sense yet, let me explain a bit further with a personal anecdote. I've been here multiple times myself. Several times I've locked in the last like 2 or 3 years or something. And so I become someone who wants something more in life, right? I become more ambitious, more productive in my spare time. I cut all the bullshit out of my life and just allow productivity to naturally fill in the cracks, right? So now I have a higher purpose and I have goals that I want to achieve for the first time in my life, and I'm really happy, you know. You get immense satisfaction from working towards goals that you set out for yourself. It's brilliant. It's so fulfilling. But I still have bills. I'm still broke. I still have to clock in 6 days a week at my regular job. And this new mentality is exactly where things can start to go downhill. You start seeing your current responsibilities as burdens. Because while the job still funds me, now it's also yanking me away from my goal, from like my journey. It forces me away from like my purpose, which feels like literal enslavement. Now, it might seem a bit of a rash term, but you need money to live in this day and age, right? If you don't have a job, you can't pay the bills, so that job is basically mandatory. So it feels like you're just working to live. That's where the term wage slave comes from with the old Gen Z lingo, eh? Fucking wage slaves. It's true, man. It is unfortunately true. Now the issue with this is that that mentality can easily start spreading into every aspect of your life as well once it starts there. You start seeing anything that isn't envisioned in your purpose as burdensome. So you're trying to strive towards something greater, but then realistically all you've really done is just allow your mind to control you again. But this time it seemed productive because your mind was smart enough to fixate on something that you were attracted to. So while it may seem weird to admit, once again, it's just your mind that's the enemy here. We can have goals, we can still dream, and we can absolutely dedicate our free time towards something greater, but you can't let the outcome control you. You can't keep letting your happiness be dictated by fate, effectively. We need to remind ourselves to only think about the present in what we're doing. You know, the things that immediately pertain to us. And unfortunately, whether that's your job, your chores, your social life, or anything, dreaming about the outcome 24/7 is just going to ruin the present moment and make the process so much worse than it needs to be. It ruins the journey. And we're going to get onto that in a second. You need to basically do everything in your ability to be mindful when you do things. Whenever you find yourself getting stressed out or pissed off at your current circumstances, and I know it's going to sound really cliche, but it's cliche because it's fucking true. You just gotta fucking breathe, bro. Focus. Just start seeing everything in front of you as a challenge, a hurdle, some fucking river you have to cross, or just some bullshit in your mind that makes it seem like it's actually worth doing, it's worth suffering through. Do you know what I mean? Now look, this last part's important. Don't think that just because you simply can't achieve all this in a few days or a week or 2 weeks, months, that you failed. It's just a side effect of locking in. It stems from our lack of patience. We're so smothered in instant gratification in this day and age that our brains don't need patience anymore, right? Dopamine is rewarded to us anytime we grab our phones and open up Instagram, anytime we open up Steam to launch a game. I mean, even when you're hungry, you can just go on your phone, order whatever food you want, and have it to your door within the hour. So why would our brain retain the need for patience? We don't need it anymore, which means we got to start from the ground up. That's why I always say that while in theory, sure, this path may seem easy because technically it is, it's tedious, it's repetitive, and it's low-key kind of unrewarding. But we only think that because our brains cannot even comprehend the reward that waits for us in the long run. So lock in, bro. Lock in regardless. Just don't let it dominate you. Don't become obsessed with the progress. You have to become obsessed with the journey and the current now of locking in. That's really the hard part, becoming obsessed with the journey. Because people always people lock in because they expect the outcome to solve everything, right? Oh, once I lock in and I have like money, or I have like new friends, or I have a new job, or just new surroundings, then I'll be happy, right? Then I'll be fulfilled. Then I'll be okay. Well, I hate to break it to you, but that is literally going to have the opposite effect than what you want. You're chasing enlightenment, right? You think there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and once you get there, it's going to be euphoric and everything. But enlightenment isn't actually the destination. It's actually finding tranquility in the journey there. Does that make sense? There is no end to the journey. There's just the journey right now. And as soon as you learn to love the journey regardless of what your circumstances are, that is when you realize you locked in for a reason. I know this all kind of sounds like a bit of mumbo jumbo because realistically, I'm still figuring this out myself, bro. All right, we're in the same boat here. But I got a theory. If we keep this mindset consistently, then we'll figure it out without even trying, to be honest. Anyway, this has been your boy, Big Ol' Jimbo. Thanks for tuning in again. Peace out.